First contact through fire. The mining vessel Helios drifted silently through the Kuiper Belt, its massive solar sails gleaming in the distant sunlight. Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, watching chunks of ice and rock float past like celestial debris. After 3 years as captain of this deep space mining operation, she had grown accustomed to the endless void. But something felt different today. A tension hung in the recycled air, electric and unwelcome. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual." Marcus Rodriguez's voice cut through her contemplation. The sensor specialist's dark eyes were fixed on his holographic display, his fingers dancing through streams of data. "It's not matching any known patterns in our database." Sarah moved to his station, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. "Show me." The display expanded, filling the air with cascading waves of energy signatures. To most it would look like cosmic noise, the background radiation that pervaded space, but Sarah saw the pattern immediately. Regular pulses, too precise to be natural, carrying complex mathematical sequences. "How long has this been broadcasting?" she asked, her heart rate quickening. "That's the thing, Captain. It just started, and it's getting stronger. Whatever's generating this signal is moving fast, really fast, and it's heading straight for the solar system." Sarah's hand moved to the emergency protocols panel before her conscious mind had fully processed the implications. "Sound General Quarters. Get me a direct link to Earth Defense Command. And someone wake up Dr. Patel. We're going to need our xenolinguist." Alarms blared through the Helios as the crew scrambled to battle stations. It was a drill they had practiced countless times, but never expected to use. First contact protocols had been established decades ago, but no one really believed they'd be needed on a routine mining operation. Dr. Anjali Patel arrived on the bridge still pulling on her uniform jacket, her eyes bright with excitement despite being woken from cryosleep. The xenolinguistics expert had spent her career studying theoretical alien communication methods. Now she would finally put that knowledge to use. "The signal," Sarah began, but Anjali was already moving to the console, her fingers flying over the controls. "It's beautiful," she breathed, watching the patterns unfold. "Look at the mathematical progression. They're establishing a common language framework using universal constants. Whoever sent this knows exactly how to make themselves understood." The signal continued to strengthen, and with it came more data. Images began forming on the screens. Technical schematics, star maps, and something else. Something that made Sarah's blood run cold. "Those are weapon signatures," Marcus said quietly. "Someone's shooting at them." The images showed massive ships, their designs unlike anything human engineers had conceived. They were pursuing what appeared to be a civilian vessel, massive in scale but clearly damaged. Energy readings indicated it was carrying thousands of life support pods. "It's a refugee ship," Anjali said, her voice thick with emotion. "They're running from something, and they're asking for help." Sarah's comm unit chimed, Earth Defense Command responding to their alert. General Sandra Martinez's hologram appeared in the center of the bridge, her expression grave. "Captain Chen, your report just hit my desk. Please tell me this is a false alarm." "No, General. The signal is real, and so is the threat. We're looking at a potential humanitarian crisis on an interstellar scale." The general was silent for a long moment, studying the data streaming alongside her hologram. "You understand what you're asking. If we intervene, we're not just revealing ourselves to the galaxy. We're potentially entering a war we know nothing about." Sarah looked around her bridge, at the faces of her crew. She saw fear there, yes, but also determination. Humanity had dreamed of the stars for centuries, imagining their first contact with alien life. No one had imagined it would come like this, but perhaps that made their choice even more important. "With respect, General, I don't think we have a choice. That ship is carrying civilians, families. If we let them die when we could have helped, what does that say about us? What kind of first impression would that make on the galaxy?" General Martinez's hologram flickered as she accessed more data terminals. The Security Council is convening now. But Captain, preliminary authorization granted. Begin preparations for emergency assistance operations. I'm dispatching the 7th Fleet to your position. The bridge erupted in activity as crews began preparing for the most important mission in human history. Sarah turned to Dr. Patel. Send them a response. Tell them help is coming. Anjali's fingers flew over the console, converting their message into the same mathematical language the aliens had used. As the message transmitted into space, Sarah felt the weight of history settling onto her shoulders. Humanity's first words to another civilization wouldn't be a philosophical greeting or a scientific exchange. They would be a promise of help. Message sent, Anjali confirmed. Now we wait. The response came faster than anyone expected, a burst of data that resolved into new images. The refugee ship had altered course, heading directly for them. They were putting their faith in complete strangers, betting the lives of thousands on humanity's compassion. How long until they reach our position? Sarah asked. Marcus checked his calculations. At their current velocity, 18 hours. Their pursuers will arrive 12 hours after that. Sarah nodded, her decision already made. Then we have 18 hours to prepare the greatest welcome party in human history, and 30 hours to figure out how to fight an enemy we've never seen. She turned to her crew, seeing the same mix of fear and determination she felt in her own heart. Let's make it count. The Helios's engines flared to life as they began maneuvering to rendezvous with the approaching vessel. Behind them, Earth's defense fleet was mobilizing, ships emerging from hidden bases on Mars and beneath the lunar surface. Humanity had always known this day would come. First contact with an alien civilization. They had just never imagined they would begin their journey to the stars with an act of war. But perhaps that was fitting. Humanity's greatest moments had often come in response to crisis, when the choice between action and inaction carried the weight of history. As Sarah watched her crew prepare for the challenges ahead, she knew they were about to show the galaxy exactly what humans were capable of when the stakes were highest. The stars seemed to shine brighter now, as if they too were watching to see what would unfold. Humanity's first step into a larger universe would not be marked by peaceful exploration, but by a simple truth that transcended species and space itself. When the innocent needed protection, standing aside was never an option. Project Phoenix rising. Deep beneath the ice sheets of Antarctica, Admiral James Kenzo stood in a command center that officially didn't exist. Massive holographic displays showed the refugee ship's approach vector, along with the pursuing vessels that had triggered every defense satellite in the system. But it was the other displays that held his attention, the ones showing the awakening of humanity's greatest secret. Status report on Phoenix facilities, he commanded, his voice steadied despite the weight of the moment. Colonel Diana Walsh, his second in command, gestured at the global display. All 7 installations are going hot, sir. Crews are initiating startup sequences on the warships. The enhanced response teams are beginning revival procedures. Around the world, hidden bases were coming to life. Beneath the Mariana Trench, inside the Australian outback, under the Sahara Desert, and deep within the Amazon rainforest, massive doors were opening for the first time in decades. Projects that had consumed trillions in secret funding were finally serving their intended purpose. Time to full combat readiness, James asked, watching as more systems came online. 6 hours for the ships, sir. The ERT squads will need 12 for full recovery from stasis. Medical teams report their augmentations are functioning within expected parameters. The Admiral nodded, remembering the controversy when Project Phoenix was first proposed. The idea of keeping elite soldiers in suspended animation, their bodies enhanced with cutting-edge biotechnology, had seemed extreme to many. But the nightmare scenarios they'd planned for had always included the possibility of exactly this situation, a superior force arriving with hostile intent. His secure comm chimed with an incoming transmission from the Helios. Captain Chen's hologram appeared, looking tired but determined. Admiral, The refugee ship is responding to our signals. They're transmitting their technical specifications to help us prepare for their arrival. Sir, the scale of their vessel is beyond anything we anticipated. Show me, James commanded, and new data flooded the displays. The refugee ship was massive, nearly the size of Manhattan, with vast sections dedicated to cryogenic storage. The pursuing vessels were smaller but bristling with weapon systems that made Earth's most advanced artillery look primitive in comparison. Their weapons technology is decades ahead of ours, Diana observed, studying the data. Maybe centuries. James allowed himself a small smile. By conventional standards, yes. But we haven't been playing by conventional rules for a long time. He turned to another screen showing the Phoenix fleet. How are the Chimera drives performing? All tests green, sir. The quantum fold engines are stable and ready for deployment. Project Prometheus reports the shield generators are operating at 98% efficiency. For 50 years, the Phoenix Project had been developing technologies that seemed impossible by normal scientific standards. Quantum engines that bent space itself, shields that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, weapons that harnessed dark energy. They had seemed like science fiction even to most of the scientific community. That had been the point. Signal from ERT Alpha, Diana announced. Commander Elena Santos is awake and preparing her team. The enhanced response teams were perhaps the most controversial aspect of Project Phoenix. 5 squads of elite soldiers kept in suspended animation, their bodies enhanced with experimental technology, trained to fight threats that hadn't existed when they went under. They had volunteered knowing they might sleep for decades, waiting for a moment like this. Put her through, James ordered. Elena's hologram appeared, her enhanced eyes glowing faintly as her systems came online. Admiral, we've reviewed the situation briefing. My team will be combat ready in 10 hours. What's your assessment of the tactical data? The enemy vessels show signs of overconfidence in their technical superiority. Their formations are loose, their approach casual. They're not expecting resistance. Her augmented mind was already processing combat scenarios. We can use that. Agreed. Coordinate with the fleet commanders. I want battle plans ready by the time the refugee ship arrives. As the hologram faded, James turned to the main display where dots representing the Phoenix fleet were moving into position. Sleek warships emerged from underwater bases and hidden mountain hangars, their quantum drives allowing them to accelerate at speeds that should have been impossible. Message from the Security Council, sir, Diana reported. They've given us full operational authority. The world's military forces are at our disposal. James nodded grimly. Send word to all Phoenix installations. Implementation of Protocol Omega is authorized. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity has teeth. Around the world, the greatest secret in human history was revealing itself. Ships that defied conventional physics rose from their hidden berths. Soldiers enhanced beyond normal human limits prepared for combat. Weapons that bent reality itself were brought online. In the command center, James watched as humanity's true defensive capabilities took shape. They had spent half a century preparing for this moment, hoping it would never come. Now that it had, he felt a strange sense of relief. The weight of secrecy was finally lifting. Sir, Diana called out, her voice tight with urgency. New data from the refugee ship. They're transmitting visual records of their pursuers in action. You need to see this. The main screen filled with footage of worlds burning, entire cities reduced to ash by weapons that ignored conventional defenses. The pursuing force wasn't just trying to capture the refugees, they were erasing all trace of their civilization's existence. Send this to all Phoenix commands, James ordered. Everyone needs to understand what we're fighting for. This isn't just about protecting Earth anymore. This is about standing up for every species that can't defend itself. The command center hummed with activity as battle plans were refined and units moved into position. In 6 hours, the refugee ship would enter the solar system. 6 hours after that, humanity would fight its first interstellar battle. They were outnumbered. They were facing technology far beyond their public capabilities. But humanity had spent 50 years preparing for exactly this kind of nightmare scenario. Now it was time to wake up from the dream and show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of. As James watched his forces assemble, he remembered something his grandfather had told him when he first joined the Phoenix Project. The greatest weapon humanity has isn't our technology or our strength. It's our ability to face impossible odds and find a way to win anyway. Looking at the approaching enemy fleet, James hoped his grandfather had been right. They were about to put that theory to the ultimate test. The battle above Saturn. Commander Elena Santos stood in the command pod of her Prometheus-class battleship, the Neural Enhancement Suite, connecting her directly to every system on the vessel. Through augmented senses, she felt the quantum engines humming, the shield generators pulsing, and the dark energy weapons charging. Her enhanced response team was spread throughout the ship, each member's augmentations allowing them to perform the work of entire crews. The refugee ship had made it safely behind Saturn, protected by the combined might of Earth's revealed fleet. Now they waited in the gas giant's rings, using the ice and debris as cover while preparing for the arrival of their pursuers. Enemy fleet approaching optimal engagement range. Elena's second-in-command, Marcus Way, reported. His cybernetic eyes tracked multiple tactical displays simultaneously. 15 vessels, varying classes. Their energy signatures are off the charts. Through the neural suite, Elena felt rather than saw Captain Chen's mining vessel Helios taking position alongside them. The civilian ship had been hastily retrofitted with Phoenix Project technology, its mining lasers repurposed into makeshift weapons. All ships, maintain formation. Admiral Kenzo's voice echoed through the fleet command channel. Remember your training. They may have advanced technology, but we have surprise and home field advantage. Make them count. Elena watched through enhanced vision as the enemy fleet emerged from fold space, their ships looking almost organic in design. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, their hulls shimming with energy fields that bent light around them. The Neural Suite's tactical analysis confirmed what they already knew. By any conventional measure, humanity was hopelessly outmatched. But humanity had stopped playing by conventional rules long ago. Execute Operation Scattered Thunder, Admiral Kenzo commanded. Elena's ship, along with 30 others, activated their quantum drives in perfect synchronization. Space itself seemed to shudder as they utilized the unique properties of Saturn's rings, the ice particles amplifying their quantum fields. In an instant, what had appeared to be a defensive formation became an intricate trap. The enemy fleet found themselves surrounded as human ships seemed to materialize at impossible angles, their advanced sensors confused by the quantum displacement effects. Before they could react, the first phase of humanity's attack plan began. All ships, deploy dark matter mines, Elena ordered through the Neural Suite. Thousands of small devices scattered through the rings, each one containing technology that had taken decades to perfect. The enemy ship's energy shields were designed to stop conventional weapons. They weren't prepared for attacks that came from other dimensions of spacetime. The first explosions rippled through the enemy formation as dark matter mines detonated, creating localized rifts that bypassed their shields entirely. 2 enemy vessels disappeared instantly, their hulls torn apart by forces they had never encountered before. But the enemy recovered quickly, their superior technology allowing them to adapt. Energy beams lanced out, cutting through the debris field with terrifying precision. 3 human ships vanished in balls of plasma before they could evade. Phase 2, Admiral Kenzo commanded. Show them why we chose this battlefield. Elena felt a surge of fierce pride as humanity's true strategy was revealed. For decades, they had seeded Saturn's rings with automated factories and quantum transmitters, building an invisible infrastructure that turned the entire region into one massive weapons platform. At her command, sections of the rings began to move with purpose, ice and rock forming into swarms of autonomous drones. Each one was crewed by the enemy standards, but they carried payloads of exotic particles specifically designed to disrupt advanced energy fields. The enemy fleet found their superior shields failing under the onslaught of millions of tiny attackers. Their formation broke as they tried to deal with threats coming from every direction, their confidence shaken by weapons and tactics they had never encountered. Multiple targets exposed, Marcus reported. Their adaptive shielding can't compensate for quantum variance attacks. Elena nodded, connecting deeper with her ship's systems. All ERT vessels, prepare main guns for synchronized fire. Calculate quantum fold points for maximum effect. The Prometheus-class ships moved in perfect coordination, their enhanced crews working as one through their neural suites. Dark energy gathered at their bow sections, the weapons drawing power from the same dimensional rifts they had used to ambush the enemy. Fire. Reality itself seemed to bend as multiple ships fired through the same point in spacetime, their attacks combining and amplifying in ways that defied conventional physics. 3 enemy vessels were caught in the convergence point, their advanced hulls crumbling under forces their designers had never imagined possible. But the enemy was far from defeated. Their remaining ships began to demonstrate why they had inspired such terror in their victims. Space around them distorted as they deployed weapons that ignored traditional laws of physics, targeting human vessels with devastating precision. Helios is hit, Captain Chen's voice cut through the tactical channels. Main drive failing. We're losing containment. Elena's enhanced mind processed the tactical situation in microseconds. The mining vessel was too far for conventional rescue, but just within range of an experimental system they hadn't tested in actual combat. "Bridge is yours, Marcus," she commanded, stepping onto a quantum teleportation pad. "I'm going to get them out." Her consciousness expanded as the teleporter activated, her augmented body converting to energy and reforming aboard the dying mining vessel. She found the bridge filled with smoke, emergency force fields barely containing multiple hull breaches. "Everyone to the emergency pods," she ordered, her enhanced strength helping wounded crew members to their feet. "We'll quantum lock them to my ship." Captain Chen stood at her command station, still trying to keep her vessel in the fight. "We can still contribute to the battle," she insisted. Elena's augmented senses detected the drive core's imminent failure. "You already have. Now it's time to go." As they evacuated the crew, Elena's neural suite kept her connected to the larger battle. The enemy fleet had lost 8 vessels, but the remaining 7 were adapting to human tactics, their superior technology allowing them to analyze and counter each new strategy. "Status of the refugee ship," she demanded, helping the last crew member into an escape pod. "Safely away," Admiral Kenzo responded. "They're heading for Earth under heavy escort. But we're losing too many ships here. The enemy's learning too fast." Elena looked out the Helios's viewport at the massive gas giant below them. An idea formed in her enhanced mind, desperate, probably suicidal, but potentially game-changing. "Admiral, request permission to initiate Protocol Omega Black," she transmitted. "We can use the Helios's quantum core overload to our advantage." There was a moment of silence on the command channel as the Admiral calculated the implications. "Understood, Commander. Make it count." Elena programmed the dying ship's systems, using her neural suite to calculate the precise sequence needed. The quantum core's containment system would fail in exactly 45 seconds. She had 40 to get clear. "All ships, execute immediate quantum fold jump on my mark," she transmitted, programming the coordinates into the fleet's shared tactical network. "And someone buy me a drink when this works." The enemy fleet detected the energy buildup and began to move to attack position, exactly as she had predicted. Their confidence in their superior technology made them predictable in ways they didn't realize. Mark. The human fleet vanished in a series of quantum jumps just as the Helios's core detonated. The explosion itself was massive, but it was only the trigger. The real weapon was Saturn's rings themselves, billions of tons of ice and rock that had been seeded with quantum resonance devices over decades of preparation. A cascade of quantum reactions rippled through the rings, creating a temporary dimensional rift that caught the enemy fleet in its grip. Their superior technology worked against them, their energy fields intensifying the effect rather than protecting them from it. When the rift collapsed 10 seconds later, the enemy fleet was gone. Physics itself had been turned into a weapon, using their own advanced systems as part of the trap. Elena materialized on her bridge, her neural suite already connecting her to ship systems as damage reports flooded in. The human fleet had survived, though many ships were severely damaged. But they had achieved what should have been impossible: victory against a technologically superior force. All ships report, Admiral Kenzo commanded, his voice showing pride beneath the professional tone. Sound off and begin damage control operations. As Elena listened to the roll call of surviving vessels, she felt a deep satisfaction. Humanity had just fought its first interstellar battle, facing an enemy that should have crushed them easily. Instead, they had proven that determination, ingenuity, and decades of paranoid preparation could overcome even the most advanced technology. The refugee ship was safe, the enemy fleet was destroyed, and humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. But as Elena reviewed the battle data through her neural suite, she knew this was just the beginning. They had made enemies today, powerful ones, but they had also shown any watching civilizations that humanity was not to be underestimated. They would face greater challenges ahead, but they would face them as they have faced this one, with courage, creativity, and the unshakable determination that defined their species. The price of victory. The observation deck of Phoenix Station Alpha offered a perfect view of Earth rising over the lunar horizon. Dr. Anjali Patel stood at the window, watching as shuttles ferried survivors and refugees between the massive vessels gathered in lunar orbit. The refugee ship, which they now knew was called the Starweaver, dwarfed everything around it, its hull still bearing the scars of its desperate flight. Their medical teams are still in shock, a voice said behind her. Anjali turned to see Elena Santos approaching, the commander's enhanced eyes dimmed to appear more natural. They can't believe how quickly we've adapted our facilities to treat their wounded. Did you tell them we've been preparing for something like this for 50 years? Elena smiled slightly. I think they've figured that out by now. The real question is why they never detected our preparations. A civilization advanced enough to build ships like the Starweaver should have noticed our activities. Unless someone was helping us stay hidden, Anjali said quietly. The refugees have been hesitant to discuss certain topics, but I'm starting to piece together a larger picture from their data archives. Before Elena could respond, Admiral Kenzo entered the observation deck, accompanied by the Starweaver's lead diplomat, Ambassador Zora. The alien's crystalline skin caught the Earthlight, creating patterns that seemed to shift with her movements. Despite her ethereal appearance, her eyes held a weariness that transcended species. Dr. Patel, the Admiral nodded. I believe you have something to report. Anjali activated the holographic display she had prepared. I've completed my preliminary analysis of the Starweaver's historical database. What I've found. She paused, gathering her thoughts. It changes everything we thought we knew about humanity's place in the galaxy. The display filled with star charts showing the movements of various civilizations over thousands of years. The Starweaver's people, the Lumini, were part of a coalition of species that had achieved relative peace in this sector of the galaxy. But about 30 years ago, they encountered something that shattered that peace. Images appeared showing massive ships unlike either the Lumini vessels or their pursuers. They called them the predecessors, remnants of an ancient civilization that had apparently seeded this part of the galaxy with life before vanishing millions of years ago. Not vanishing, Ambassador Zora corrected, her translator conveying both words and emotion. Ascending. They found a way to exist beyond physical form, but some chose to remain, believing that the younger races needed guidance or control. The display showed new images, worlds transformed by technology beyond even the Lumini's understanding. The predecessors who stayed behind divided into factions. Anjali continued. Some wanted to guide younger civilizations naturally, while others believed in forcing evolution through conflict. The ships that attacked you were commanded by predecessors who believed that only through warfare can species truly advance. Zora finished. They attack promising civilizations, forcing them to either evolve rapidly or perish. Those who survive are deemed worthy of elevation. Elena's enhanced mind processed the implications quickly. That's why they didn't simply destroy the Starweaver. They were hurting you, forcing you to find new allies or die trying. And you found us, Admiral Kenzo said thoughtfully. A species that had somehow developed technologies that could challenge even predecessor-level engineering. Anjali brought up new data showing Earth's location relative to known civilizations. We should have been detected centuries ago. Our radio signals, our space exploration, our technological development, none of it should have gone unnoticed. Unless someone was shielding us, Elena finished. The other predecessors, the ones who believed in natural development. Ambassador Zara's crystalline skin pulsed with patterns that the translator interpreted as agreement. They gave us a choice when they attacked our worlds: flee in random directions and hope some of us survived, or follow a path they had prepared, a path that led to a hidden species with unique potential. The implications hung heavy in the observation deck's recycled air. Humanity hadn't developed their advanced technology in isolation. They had been guided, subtly and carefully, by beings so advanced they could hide an entire civilization's development from the galaxy. The attack on the Starweaver wasn't random, Admiral Kenzo said, his voice tight with controlled anger. We were the real target. They wanted to force first contact, to see how we would react. And your response exceeded their predictions, Zora confirmed. No other species has managed to defeat a predecessor hunting fleet in their first engagement. You didn't just save our people, you proved something they didn't believe possible. Elena moved to the window, watching the endless stream of shuttles, helping the Lumini refugees settle into their temporary homes. How many other civilizations have they done this to? How many didn't survive their tests? Too many. Zora's translator conveyed the deep sorrow in her harmonic voice. But your victory changes the equation. Already, other species are receiving our transmissions, learning that the hunters can be defeated. You've given hope to civilizations that had none. Anjali brought up new data showing encrypted transmissions spreading out from Earth in all directions. The galaxy is watching us now. The predecessor's test has backfired. Instead of forcing us to evolve through isolation, they've united us with the very civilizations they sought to keep us from. And now we have to deal with the consequences. Admiral Kenzo said grimly. They won't stop with one defeat. If anything, this will only convince them to escalate their efforts. Let them come. Elena's enhanced eyes flared briefly. Every attack makes us stronger, teaches us more about their technologies and tactics, and now we're not fighting alone. Ambassador Zara moved to stand beside them at the window, her crystalline form refracting Earthlight in complex patterns. My people offer more than just gratitude. We bring knowledge of technologies your scientists have only dreamed of, tactical data on dozens of predecessor encounters, and connections to other civilizations who have suffered under their attacks. And we offer something equally valuable, Anjali added, a willingness to fight back, to stand up not just for ourselves, but for any species facing extinction at their hands. The Admiral nodded slowly, decades of preparation and paranoia shifting into new context. Humanity's first steps into the galaxy won't be as explorers or diplomats, but as defenders of those who can't defend themselves. Not exactly what we planned for, but exactly what we prepared for, Elena countered. Every weapon we developed, every tactic we created, they were always about protecting others as much as ourselves. We just didn't know who those others would be. Outside the window, Earth continued its eternal rise over the lunar surface. But now it was joined by ships of multiple species, their crews working together to treat the wounded and repair battle damage. Humanity's isolation had ended not with a peaceful exchange of knowledge, but with an act of defiance against those who would forcibly shape the galaxy's evolution. The price of victory had been high: ships destroyed, lives lost, and the weight of new responsibilities thrust upon them. But as Anjali watched the cooperation happening outside the window, she knew they had gained something precious in return. Allies who shared their determination to fight back against impossible odds, and the knowledge that they weren't alone in their refusal to submit to the plans of beings who thought themselves gods. The real war was just beginning, but humanity would face it as they had faced that first battle, with courage, innovation, and an unwavering determination to protect those who needed their help. The predecessors had wanted to test humanity's potential. Now they would learn exactly what that potential could accomplish when given a worthy cause to fight for. A new dawn. 3 months after the Battle of Saturn, the United Nations chamber buzzed with an energy unlike anything in its history. Holographic displays showed similar chambers around the world, filled with representatives from every nation. But today, humanity's leaders were not alone. Alongside them stood delegates from 24 alien species, their diverse forms a testament to the galaxy's rich variety of life. Captain Sarah Chen, newly promoted to fleet commander, stood at the podium beside Ambassador Zara. Above them, the chamber's dome had been transformed into a real-time display of Earth orbit, where ships of various civilizations moved in careful patterns, their crews working together to construct the Sol system's first interstellar defense platform. The predecessor threat remains active, Sarah addressed the assembly, her voice carrying to chambers across Earth and vessels throughout the solar system. But their attempt to force our evolution through conflict has had an unintended effect. Instead of fighting alone, species across the galaxy are uniting, sharing technologies and strategies that were once closely guarded secrets. Ambassador Zara's crystalline form shifted, creating patterns that the assembled translators converted for all present. The Lumini people will never forget Earth's response to our distress call. You could have hidden, protected your own civilization. Instead, you revealed your greatest secrets and risked everything to save strangers. That choice has inspired others to do the same. The holographic displays shifted to show scenes from across the solar system. In the asteroid belt, Lumini crystal shapers worked alongside human miners, teaching them techniques for extracting resources that human science had thought impossible. On Mars, engineers from 3 different species collaborated on new terraforming technologies, combining their knowledge to accelerate the planet's transformation. But our greatest advantage, Sarah continued, lies not in technology or tactics, but in perspective. The predecessors believed that evolution requires conflict, that species must be forced to advance through warfare. We believe that true strength comes from choice, the choice to help others, to stand against injustice, to fight not because we must, but because we choose to. In lunar orbit, Commander Elena Santos supervised the integration of enhanced response team technologies with systems provided by their new allies. Her neural suite had been upgraded with crystalline processors that expanded her capabilities far beyond their original design. But more importantly, she was teaching other species how to adapt and improve upon human innovations. The predecessors thought they were testing humanity's potential. Elena's voice joined the presentation from the lunar facility. Instead, they revealed something they had never considered: the potential of unity. Every species brings unique perspectives, different approaches to problems that seemed unsolvable alone. The displays showed new ships under construction, their designs combining technologies from multiple civilizations. Dark energy weapons powered by crystalline matrices, quantum drives enhanced by biological computers, shields that operated on principles no single species had fully understood alone. Admiral Kenzo stepped forward, his uniform now bearing symbols of both Earth's defense forces and the newly formed Galactic Defense Coalition. We face an enemy that has shaped the evolution of countless species through fear and violence. They believe themselves gods, determining which civilizations deserve to survive. Today, we reject that ideology completely. Dr. Anjali Patel's hologram appeared, surrounded by data streams from the combined archives of 12 species. We've discovered something remarkable in our shared histories. Every civilization here developed differently, followed unique paths of evolution and advancement. But we all share one common trait: the capacity for compassion, the willingness to help others even at great risk to ourselves. The chamber's dome display shifted again, showing the vast network of communication and sensor stations being established throughout the solar system. Earth was transforming from a hidden cradle of civilization into a fortress of hope for species across the galaxy. The predecessors will return, Sarah acknowledged, her voice firm. They cannot ignore the challenge we represent to their vision of controlled evolution. But when they come, they will find something unprecedented: multiple civilizations working together, combining their knowledge and capabilities in ways they never imagined possible. Ambassador Zara's crystalline form pulsed with patterns that transmitted hope and determination to all watching. They sought to test humanity's worthiness to join the greater galactic community. Instead, humanity has shown us a better way to exist within it, not through dominance or forced advancement, but through cooperation and mutual protection. The assembled representatives, human and alien alike, rose in unanimous support as Sarah delivered the final words of her address. We stand here today not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians. From this moment forward, Earth will serve as a beacon of hope and resistance. Any civilization facing extinction at the hands of those who would force evolution through violence will find sanctuary here. Any species seeking to unite against the predecessor's tyranny will find allies ready to stand with them. The response echoed through chambers across the planet and ships throughout the system. Applause and expressions of approval in dozens of languages and forms. Humanity's first major step into galactic civilization had not come through peaceful exploration or cautious diplomacy, but through a simple choice to help those in need. In her private quarters later that evening, Sarah stood at the window watching Earth's lights shimmer below. A holographic display showed the latest reports from deep space probes, more refugee ships heading toward Earth, more civilizations inspired by humanity's defiance to stand against their tormentors. Alina's neural projection appeared beside her, the commander's enhanced consciousness able to communicate across vast distances. The predecessor hunters have been spotted in the Carina sector. 3 more civilizations are evacuating ahead of their approach. Sarah nodded, already reviewing contingency plans. Alert the defense fleet. We'll show them the same hospitality we showed their last hunting party. The refugee ships will arrive in 17 days, Alina reported. The Lumini are already preparing additional temporary habitats in the lunar colonies. And the new weapon systems. Better than we hoped. It turns out linking neural suites with Lumini crystal processors creates possibilities none of us had imagined. We're not just combining technologies, we're inventing entirely new ones. Sarah smiled slightly, remembering the terror she had felt when first detecting that alien distress signal. Did you ever imagine that first contact would lead to all this? Honestly, I expected first contact to end with us fighting for survival against a superior enemy. Instead, we're fighting for survival with new allies against a common enemy. Sarah finished. And getting better at it every day. The holographic displays showed more ships arriving in the solar system. Refugees, allies, and those inspired by Earth's example to join the fight. Humanity had dreamed of reaching the stars for centuries, imagining all the possibilities that awaited them. But in the end, their greatest achievement hadn't been in exploration or conquest. It had been in offering hope to those who had none, in standing up against beings who thought themselves gods, and in showing the galaxy that true strength came not from conflict, but from the choice to help others. The predecessors had wanted to test humanity's potential. Now they would face that potential united with every species they had tried to subjugate, every civilization they had tried to force into their vision of evolution. They would learn that the greatest force in the galaxy wasn't advanced technology or tactical superiority, but the simple, unshakable determination to protect those who needed protection. A new dawn was rising, not just for humanity, but for all species who chose to stand together. And in that dawn, the light of hope shone brighter than any star.